In the recent years, the Red Cross and Red Crescent national societies have been diligently working towards providing high-quality, science-based first aid training worldwide, and ensuring that first aid education is founded on the latest expertise and knowledge. In this context, significant strides have already taken place within the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies under the coordination of the Global First Aid Reference Center. Since 2011, the publication every 5 years of the International Federation's guidelines on first aid, resuscitation, and education based on scientific evidence and expert best practices. The implementation of an international first aid education program for national societies aiming to fortify their structure and educational programs. Within this framework, national societies have expressed their interest in garnering international recognition for the quality of their first aid training to enhance their educational activities. This initiative led to the establishment of the International First Aid Attestation in December 2020. The International First Aid Attestation is a quality label based on a continuous improvement process in the standard of training. It relies on a minimum set of quality requirements, comprising 10 technical modules and teaching approaches in line with the latest version of international guidelines. The International Attestation is valid for 5 years and is subject to renewal.
The Armenian Red Cross Society applied for the International First Aid Attestation in 2022. By obtaining the International First Aid Attestation, we have competitive advantage in our local first aid market. It gives an added value to selling quality first aid trainings to different companies, organizations, and individuals. In the process of first aid attestation, we didn't have big challenges. It was hard work, but very fruitful. As a result, we had an opportunity to review our training programs and curriculums, to adapt the guidelines to the local context in accordance IFRC latest guidelines.
The process for obtaining the International Attestation involves various stages, during which the National Society is guided by a member of the Global First Aid Reference Center and a representative of the International Attestation. Stage 1. Application and self-assessment. The applicant National Society submits an official request for accrediting the desired first aid trainings by sending the Global First Aid Reference Center its manuals and training material. The first stage of self-assessment is conducted by the National Society, which analyzes the content of its training courses against the requirements of the International First Aid Attestation. This self-assessment enables the Global First Aid Reference Center to determine whether the process can continue. Stage 2. There are 2 possible scenarios. In this case, an on-site assessment visit is organized. The International Attestation representative from the Global First Aid Reference Center visits the National Society to assess whether the observed training sessions comply with international guidelines in both technical and educational terms. If so, the Global First Aid Reference Center issues the International Attestation to the National Society for the corresponding training. If the self-assessment or the field visit reveals shortcomings, support is provided for the implementation of an action plan to help the National Society revise its training courses. The aim of this support is to improve the training programs and ultimately to renew the application for the International First Aid Attestation. The International First Aid Attestation is a quality label that provides a compelling argument for clients seeking first aid training for the general public, schools, or workplaces.
By getting the International First Aid Attestation, you will be internationally recognized, first in the market, acknowledged, and active in the approval process.